with introduction of our panelists, guest speakers. You know, when you talk about business incubation, you talk about best practices, looking at the ability of universities and certain institutions to pilot or see very good projects or entrepreneurial models. You want to provide basically an ecosystem for them to grow and to be successful. So the question really is, what are the best practices out there? What are the models? And what would be unique in terms of the Philippine setting in growing or setting up a business incubator within a university or another institution of learning. So the panelists we have this afternoon, and I'm just going to introduce them again for the benefit of those who are just joining this afternoon. We have Professor Ikhlaq Sidhu. He's the Chief Scientist and Director of CET Berkeley. Professor Sidhu is the founder of the center and teaches and advises projects for graduate, undergraduate, and professional programs. So, Ikhlaq. Then we have Professor Wnek. Gary Wnek is the Joseph Junior Professor of Engineering. He's the Associate Dean of Academics for the High School of Engineering. And he's also Director of the TIME, or Institute of Management and Engineering, as well as the Ikhlaq. Gary. The third member of our group, we have Dr. Matias. Dr. Matias is the current Dean of the UP-Diliman College of Engineering. She's also the Executive Director of the National Engineering Center and the Program Leader of the Engineering Research and Development for Technology, or ERTD. She was a former president of the Philippine Ergonomic Society, so you can see her expertise in design, and a trustee of the Philippine Institute of Industrial Affairs. All right. And then we have a very serial entrepreneur, Earl Valencia. Mr. Valencia is the president and co-founder of the Ideaspace Foundation, the largest industry-led incubator and accelerator for technology startups in the Philippines. Earl?
Moderator, gihapon ko, sir.
So we're going to do a little bit different from what we had as a format this morning. Basically, you come here, you think you're just listening to us. You know, you think that we're several professors here. We're just supposed to deliver content. Actually, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking. You know, from what you've been hearing this morning. We'd like to know what are your challenges and what are your motives for coming here. In light of our specific topic this afternoon, if you were a student, startup, entrepreneur, and you'd like to be part or house your enterprise in a business incubator in a university, what are your questions or what are your thoughts? So we would like to ask for a brainstorm to come up here and be part of our panel. Any volunteers? You know, I'm a professor, so I'm very good at volunteering my students.
Yeah, it's an old trick we use in Cleveland. We pay volunteers.
Yeah. Anybody here who's seriously starting a company would like to be part of the Come on now. What's your name? Okay, please take a chair and join us. So tell us something about yourself quickly, and then we'll.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm just a bit nervous. Yeah, so I'm nervous, but hearing with the discussions this morning, it makes me motivated. Somehow start my own company at the same time. It's somewhat like I need to somehow develop my negotiation skills, and somehow like I also need to somehow learn from the experts for me to somehow innovate something that could change the world and give impacts to the lives of others. Actually, I and my friends are in ERDB. The University of San Carlos are actually having some meetings that we are really planning to somehow start our company. After we graduate masters, actually we did meetings every week to discuss ideas in which we can somehow improve, like the one with 7 weeks this morning, to come up with something.
Since you're very good in answering questions, we do the question to answer. You're our panelist. No, that's very good. One question is mentoring you, right?
Actually, we don't have mentors. We just, we're a group of friends who are discussing about something. We first did the brainstorming of what are the problems there in Cebu City. And then after which we gave our own inputs and how to address those problems. Then out from those inputs that we have had, we pick the best, or we think the best of the solutions that we're trying to somehow develop and how to achieve those solutions.
Okay, so I think that's a great step. Go ahead.
So we're going to start our panel here. But you know, I think what you can do, you can help tell us whether we're on track and whether these types of things actually can be helpful to you and kind of represent everybody. Okay? All right.
So I think as we stay here, yes, relax. What we want to do is basically the topic for this particular group is we want to know what are the different models or modes by which we can host startups in terms of providing the training, mentoring, facilities, some venture funding, angel investor connection within a university. If not within a university, there are different types of commercial space available there for startups. So what we're trying to do is look at the overall picture by which we can be a home for a lot of you guys who want to start up in the Philippines. So I'll just open it up to the panel and we'll have lots of opportunity to time to answer. So let me start here and Eric.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone here knows about Ideaspace, because some of you have heard about it in passing, but we are an incubator accelerator that actually looks all around the country for the best science and technology ideas. We fund them, so we have an open call. Last year, actually this year, July 2015, we closed our third call, and we got about 1,028 people from all over the Philippines to apply. So if you actually haven't tried to apply in Ideaspace or a similar type of program, then there's 1,000 other people or teams that are already doing it. We got a submission from every region in the Philippines. So the past 8 years, we funded about 28 companies, and for this year, probably fund another 10 to 12, if not more. An experience that I had really, because we go to schools, we did about 90 events last year, is that at the end of the day, you need a place, a common place, where people who believe go together, right? Because it's hard, even in the university setting, what we realize is that even some of their professors discourage their students from being entrepreneurs, which may or may not be correct in this room, but that's something that I have seen all over my tours of duty here in the Philippines. So you have to form, I guess that's the first thing, as a community. The second part is that hopefully the university gives a place to be the epicenter of where this thing should be, right? And then a program, right? So literally, because for us, we have a 4.5-month program. Every week, full time, people have to start like moving and moving and moving, or else we won't give them additional funding. So the sense of urgency also has to be there. If they come in, for example, the best 5 or 10 teams in a university, we have to give them like the pressure cooker in 3 months, because what you don't want to happen is it's a nice thing to do and you'll never have success stories. So that's kind of my suggestion to people here who want to start their own incubator. Focus first not on the physical infrastructure but the software, right? The people, the community, the organization that will bring people together, right? And then the physical infrastructure and then the program.
So there's a momentum that you need to keep up all the time, so that these things don't fall behind with your other priorities. But essentially, follow-up is one of the key words. Ora, do you have something to share?
My input is in terms of the university as a venue. It was mentioned a while ago that most universities are non-entrepreneurial, right? So it relates with the past 4 years or so, that when we started having the technology business incubators and models in the University of the Philippines, we are now looking at doing a study actually whether our university can actually be an entrepreneurial university, because we just moving from a comprehensive university to a research university. So we needed to build the research culture first before we can actually be entrepreneurial, because we needed to develop the knowledge first that would actually sell. So I think in many of our universities now, the research culture still needs to be worked on, and definitely faculty development is the greatest challenge, because we cannot expect our students to be entrepreneurial if there are no faculty members who they can look up as role models. So even at university level, faculty development is the one that's the greatest challenge. Fortunately, the University of the Philippines has done, considering that there's a lot of knowledge that's available, but it's not actually being marketed, and so we're now trying to make use of that, and particularly so because we have the ERTT, where we have scholarships for graduate students, we want these students to actually make use of their knowledge in setting up or developing technologies that actually can redound startups. That's why it's called today Research and Development for Technology. You are expected as students to may not be the entrepreneur, but you can actually sell technology to entrepreneurs. That's the other side.
So the point is, we can think about incubator space, we can think about facilities, we can think about funding, but without the culture, more importantly, without professors who are entrepreneurs themselves, technopreneurs, who have the experience, who have the passion, can teach. Really, it's a gap that we need to fill up in our.
There is also one misconception that entrepreneurship is only in the business school. So many of the entrepreneurs are thought to be have to go to a business education. but in fact, engineers actually have the potential to become entrepreneurs themselves. This is where we are leading to.
Right. So scientists and engineers, there's a sometimes an economy that a scientist is only involved with basic science, whereas engineer is very applied. But in reality, the scientists and engineers, out of them, ideas flow, inventions are made, patents are filed. But the key word there is innovation. Unless you transition from that invention mode, putting a product or an article that somebody wants or somebody's willing to buy, that's innovation. And that's really the culture, that's really the part of the enterprise that our universities has to transition and develop as an ecosystem within the university. Then you start thinking about physical setup and housing them and providing space for both students and professors to be prepared. In fact, in the US, very often students would form a company and invite their professor to join. You know, there are stories of professors who have many inventors themselves, but in reality, a lot of this is a very bottom-up approach coming from the students themselves. So, Gary?
Thanks. I'd like to build on what Professor Advincula mentioned about culture. Those of you who were with us this morning heard my remarks about ThinkBox. And for all we're doing and building, we're reconfiguring, there's going to be little space for what we'll call an incubator. Our view is that the Cleveland area has already professional incubators, and it's not our job to try to compete with those. Conversely, what we're trying to do is feed the local incubators with higher quality product, meaning teams of students with refined ideas that have been edited by a network of mentors regarding markets, technology. And I can't resist, since I'm a professor, giving advice to students. But here's one bit of advice. You know, the word entrepreneur, the way I understand it, it's from the French, and about 200 years ago, the original definition was that an entrepreneur is an individual who sees something and says there's got to be a better way, and then takes responsibility for what we're trying to improve. How does one build a culture or mindset around that? And I think one way, at least, is to constantly check out your surroundings, your walk from a dorm or an apartment to your classroom, shopping on a weekend, going out with friends, traveling, seeing things to improve, and constantly being aware of needs. Once in a while, those needs are both large and unmet. And that, if you find that gap, that's a real spark for something that could be quite significant. So, my bit of advice again is for an entrepreneurial mindset to take hold. Just be aware of where improvements can be made, even what might sound small and rather trivial can be very impactful. And that's what we're trying to build at Case Western, and hopefully we can feed our professional level incubators with a lot of students and a lot of ideas that really have some space to take over.
Yeah, and I think Ikhlaq has a lot to say. In fact, probably 2 hours is not for enough for me. But I just wanted to share that having met Ikhlaq since yesterday, I think what you're doing at CET is really, really making a difference. Organically. That means you learn the process, you adapt, and then you find the best model. And I think that's what you're bringing into the Philippines, engaging with us.
Okay, thank you. So I one picture that is what is it that universities can offer to help in creating entrepreneurs? Is it roughly? So I'm assuming it's so it's kind of a list of things, and depends on where you are and which university and what your goals are. In other words, I think there's more than one thing that can be done, but it doesn't mean that every university is going to put emphasis on the very same thing. And so, those things, like a menu of those things, can include, first of all, just exposing you to role models. Secondly, it can include what I call, we start to use the term collider model, but basically a place where people who would not meet each other start to meet each other. And, whether it's students that are of different types, whether it's business people and students, whether it's industry people or technical people, to meet different kinds of students, investors, whatever. But where these people cycle in, they bump into each other, they have some project together, and then all of these things, you can't know what's going to come out, but things will come out as they meet each other. So I think the role model forcing collisions to happen, and then I think there's something in the category of rewards or prizes is a better word. There's the things that, like, if you have a competition and you award a prize to 5 out of 50 teams, those 5, everyone knows about those 5. You escalated those 5 above everyone else, and now you've given the whole community some place to focus their attention that, these 5 are different than the others. So besides money, just the attention on those is a thing that can be provided. And then you go on, and then there's space, and then you go on beyond that, and then there's money, and there's, connection to the rest of the ecosystem. And so I can think of like all these things that we can be providing. In some measure, I think we all provide, aspects of these. I think the question is, for whom, for people here and for universities here, which are the right ones?
So what I can see here is that the essential thing is place to network, a place to connect, a place to collide. And each university are at various stages. One proposal or one possibility to make it sustainable or even give it a good boost is probably a consortium or a group of universities who would like to have this incubation space area. Because eventually what we want to come up with is some sort of plan to give it some physical space, some real resources. But in general, we should not lose the aim that the very purpose of a small business incubation, technology incubator is it's about bringing people together. It's about bringing ideas together. So before I ask the panelists, let's ask our friend here to either comment or ask a question to us. What else are you thinking? What else do you've heard?
Based from the results of our previous discussions many months before, what I've seen that will lack is the support infrastructure that will guide us in making our ideas to be realized. So we just discuss ideas and then we do not know what to do next. So we just say we need to work, to have this technology work, then maybe perhaps after having this device work, we can somehow present this to someone who might be interested in the project. And then that's our goal. And also, what do you mean by that? We need both. Yeah, because in terms of ideas, we have lots of ideas of the group, but we do not know how to proceed further. In terms of funding, first the funding, second the model itself, how to proceed the other.
So basically the question is, and we'll make it free for all to answer, is how do we learn these things? Who's going to teach us to take us into the steps of starting our idea into an enterprise. And then we also need a physical space that somehow house where we want to start the enterprise. So the question really is that, let's let the panel answer something.
Yeah, so, my experience, and I was fortunate enough to go, for example, to Stanford for school, is that you want to make your university extremely attractive for many types of people to just go there, right? Just to hang out there. If I'm a busy guy, right? But I go to UP because, I went there for college, but in the end of the day, I want to keep coming back if I meet people, if I meet interesting friends, if I meet interesting peers, right? So, first of all, even industry, right? Have you asked your question in your school, do you have people in industry, large corporations, small businesses, always there? If not, there is a problem because you can't find that collision. Because your problem is not necessarily, I need funding, which is kind of for me a scapegoat, right? There is funding if you progress. But what you need even at the early stage is just someone to talk to and bounce ideas who might have done it before. I've seen in the past 3 years 2,500 proposals. I see the pattern. When I was in the States, I probably saw thousands too. So I think that's the stuff that we have to encourage, and I hope that either your students, your faculty, staff, is how to make your campus a place where anybody wants to hang out in, a place where collisions will happen, right? Because I went to Berkeley just because I was curious, without actual invitation, right? But when I was there, I said, hey, this is, I might meet someone cool. End of the day, people from industry, they just want to meet other people, other students who are ambitious, other cool people, professors interested to talk to us, right? So that's kind of my own kind of feedback, right? Because the places who are, encouraging us, we come back all the time. We just love to just be there, we have good memories.
Place to hang out, place to network, a place to enjoy and learn ideas.
Yes, because everyone, especially if you get a little bit more senior, you want to be around students, you want to be around energy, right? So why can't you, because it's right there, why can't you make your place just conducive for these conditions to happen? Not just with students and students, not just with faculty and students, but by the whole community around it.
Very diverse set, and lots of the elements to mentor you or give you a chance.
Yeah,
Ikhlaq, you want to say something?
I just wanted to add to that. So I think you're completely right. And that most universities, Berkeley's no different. If you're not in Berkeley, coming in and trying to meet somebody, and it's hard. What do you do when you're not at a university? And you might call some professor, or you might try to get an introduction. You're busy doing other things. It's not so easy to get to students directly. You can try, but they're in their groups and things like that, and everyone's busy with other things. And it's not always possible to just show up on a campus and start doing things with other people. And for this, we also have to think about, just because you host a party or an event, it's not enough, because they have nothing to really talk about. They're at the event. They could listen to somebody, then after it breaks, they go. Maybe a little bit of, chit-chat over a coffee or something, in the event. But we have to find ways for people to substantially talk to each other when they come in from off campus. So is there a project that they can be a part of, that the student can be part of? And, I think we need to think about, what's next in making the university inviting and open.
Yeah. So the follow through, and the hard question really is, where will the resources come from for universities to set up their own incubator space or networking environment, where it's not only a meeting place, but perhaps those who want to go to the next stage, what resources will be made available for them, not only on the connection, but even on the physical resource. So, this question is maybe directed to Maura, where do you get the money? Where do you get the resources to start? And what's the motivation of a university to set their own incubator space?
Actually, I was going to respond to Earl's statement saying that it has to be a place where people want to come out. The conditions, unfortunately, don't happen instantaneously or spontaneously. I think it has to be, it has to be, the space needs to be created. It has to be afforded, and it's it must be done purposely. And unfortunately, our universities and colleges that offer engineering programs are not designed or are not structured having that mindset. And of course, it's because the metrics for our universities has always been just the board exam. If we put metrics of how well a university is or the motivation for sending your child to this particular school is because he will be an entrepreneur someday. That's not how it is marketed. So it's about board examination. It's about publication. So again, having the entrepreneurial objective is not quite there, which we need to change, or we need to convince many of our universities that offer engineering and science programs must have that as part of their objective or part of their mission statement. Now, where do we get our money? So, government has the funds. All you have to do is ask. Our motto is ask and you shall receive. So if you don't ask, you won't get it, right? And you have to be able to provide a program. You have to have a convincing program. And you have to commit to it. And that's the reason why we have Enterprise now. Is because we had championed the person of Dr. Sidhu. And of course, the support of all faculty members who wanted to make a difference out of the projects that our students turn out. We did not have the money to give as a fund for startups, but we had the funding supported by government to create that space. And so the money was spent to set up these rooms so that they can be used as learning spaces, incubation where mentoring can be done, where students actually know where to bring their ideas to, and they will know that they can be connected to mentors. So the university has to be committed to having it as part of their performance measure, not only profits, not only board examinations.
Yeah. So several things I'd like to summarize on your points. Basically, the way most universities are trained are training their students is training them to be employees, not employers. In a way, you're saying also, Matias, that universities are not making innovative plans and then asking the government, or maybe some private universities don't know where to proceed or how to team up with other universities to ask the government for a bigger program. In a way, it's who invests, who will start the investment, who will seed such a center or innovation space in a university. Do we wait for the government to come with a mandate? No. Ideas have to be generated, and if you're motivated enough to ask, then you have something to ask the government, and they will listen.
We need to be able to work with the Commission on Higher Education that sets the standards curricula, because it has to be embedded in the curriculum. Unfortunately, Filipinos, you have to force them to do something for things to matter. So maybe if we can infuse that as a general education requirement, then if you hit one success over 100 people go for it, then that will be a success itself. But the thing is, our engineering programs have been such that we're training our engineers how to use technology instead of how to create technology, and that has to be changed. Now is the time for us to change the way we teach engineering. Our students have to be made to design. They should be trained to be designers, not as simply assembly persons, quality control engineers. Unfortunately, that's how we have been cracked, how we've been boxed into as who is an engineer, ask even high school.